So this program is meant to transform you as a parent by the renewing of your mind, reprogramming your mindset, and positioning you in a way that you are able to know the right skills, the right tools, the right strategy in parenting your children in this 21st century. The truth is, if I know who I am, it is easier for me to be able to understand others. So that's what the program is all about. My name is Mute Olori. I'm your parenting coach, certified and trained to offer you whatever form of coaching, mentoring that you need as a parent. So I'll take a short break. When I come back, you'll be meeting my guests, because today we're going to be looking at the common mistakes parents make while parenting their teenagers. Common mistakes we make, things we could let go. I always say parents need to learn how to choose their battles. There are some battles you don't fight. All right, so when I come back, you'll be meeting my guests, and together we'll look at the common mistakes that we make, certain things we take for granted as parents while parenting our children. Don't go away. I'll be right back. Welcome back. Is the Transformational Parenting Show, where we talk about the family, talk about parenting, talk about our teenagers, allow the teenagers the opportunity to talk about themselves, and then give you the strategy that you need to be able to parent them properly. So today on the program, we're going to be talking about the common mistakes parents make while parenting their teenagers. My guest is an administrator. She has a combined years of experience in leadership, in management, in education. So many things that she does. She's going to be telling us herself some of the things, how she's able to combine all this. Education, administration, ministry, music, writing of books, art, parenting, so many things in one. She's Mrs. Ifeoma Noyenlu Eze. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad you could find time to do this.
I'm excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me, you're so many things.
Yeah.
In so many things in all ministry. Your husband has a growing ministry that is very time consuming.
Yeah.
You help to administrative in church. You also help schools to set up their management and all that, and then you write and then you sing. So tell me.
Well, many people ask me, how am I able to combine all of this and wear all of this at the same time? And the striking thing is just balance. If you know how to balance, and then people have a lot of wrong concepts about balance. Your career to it's not like that. You have to just know when to give 100% when it's needed. Like among all of these hats I wear, being an administrator, a singer, an author, the CEO of Heritage Records, a music label, and the proprietors of World Changers, and so many other things. Among all of these hats I wear, one of the hats I love to wear is the hat of parenting, because it's like the most rewarding, where you have to bring in unique persons into the world and then mentor them, coach them, hold their hand until they grow and become adults, and then make their own decisions and better the world in so many ways. So it's about knowing when to give 100% to the family, when to give 100% to your career, and in all of these things you do, it's just about balance, knowing when to apportion these times to each other.
So each time that you need to do, so it's possible to actually get it right all round in your career, build your career at the same time.
That's right.
Have your passion, and then also be there for your children.
Family,
so how has it been for you in your parenting journey? Was it like all put together from the beginning, or?
Well, I wouldn't say it was all put together from the beginning, but one thing I do know is that having the kind of parents I had gave me a right platform. So I had very wonderful, excellent parents. My dad just passed last year, but my mom is still here. And after 42 years of marriage, I can comfortably say that I have enjoyed the unity, the bond they've had. So I would say I started on the right foot because I had an idea of what real parenting should be, what the legacy they've set and the pattern they've set, and that really helped me to know how to be strong and be nice and be good there for my.
But there are a lot of other parents,
Yes.
a lot of other women or men
True.
that cannot say this
Yes.
because they came in from very hurtful beginning.
Absolutely.
From very absentee parents,
Yes.
one parent absent from the family,
True.
and all that. So they didn't really have a foundation
Yes.
to build their own style of parenting.
Yes.
So that is part of what this program is all about, to
That's
also
Help them, yeah.
yes, to see that they can come out from their defaults
Yes.
and still get it right and
Yes.
better. So let's go to this stage of children, this teenagehood.
Yes.
A lot of people say when they're young, it's out, come here, yes mommy, let me help you. Even unsolicited help they want to give.
Yes, they're always there to help.
But when they get to teenagehood, somebody said, I read the book, somebody gave a quote, he said, when your children get to teenage, you better get a dog who will be glad to see that you're back home other than the children, you know. But we cannot throw our children. We can raise them to that point where instead of the dog, they get that relationship and look forward to you coming
You know,
home.
there's friendship. We are not at war per se, because most times when kids get to the teenage years, it looks as if they're at war with their parents. Okay, so everything they are doing, they are anti-parents and parents and anti-teenagers, but it doesn't have to be that way. Like I said, growing up, I had this heritage that I had from my parents, and it helped me, you know. I would say it was 100% okay, because there were a lot of things our parents still believed, like you had to beat a child for everything. They did less talking and more beating and the rest of that. I have obviously learned from their own mistakes, and I've decided to get it better with my kids. And I have 2 teenage boys now, so I understand.
Amazing young men.
I understand what it's like. But we have to be different. We have to be better than our parents were. You know, there were a lot of myths and things they were philosophies and idiosyncrasies.
That when you grew up and you found out they were all lies, you felt, oh, how can they do this?
Like kids don't eat meat because the parents have to eat meat and stuff like that. They look all stupid now, but sometimes parents, they did the best they knew how to do. You know, sometimes most of them did not also have the kind of good parents, and because of that, they were given the kind of love they have capacity to give
and translate their love the way they think is the best.
Think it's the best, exactly, because they don't know how. And some parents genuinely want to do it right, but they don't even know how, and that's why this program is so apt. I'm really glad to be on this platform, because this is a platform where people are able to learn. If you don't have that heritage like I have, you can learn, you can read up, you can watch programs like transformational parenting that would enlighten you and make you a better parent, because all of us want to be effective and efficient as parents.
Thank you so much. That's a good one from you. Now, you see, I've said it on this program. Sometimes we blame our parents.
Yeah.
That is what they know and how best they could do it. But for you, you should know that parenting is a learned skill. No one is born to say this is how it is. So if at this age and time you're still making that mistake and saying, oh, after all, my parents did this, then you need to be checked. And I'm sure your children will support me in this. So let's look at the common mistakes we make as parents when parenting our teenagers. What are these mistakes?
All right. One of the mistakes that parents make, especially in this generation, is that they focus a lot on the intellectual development of a child, and they forget there are other aspects that make this child a whole being. So you see parents, they're getting lesson teachers, they're emphasizing on the kids doing their homework and stuff like that, and then they push them to school, give them the best kind of education, but forget to train them emotionally, because there are quotients that make up a whole person. Okay, so there's the intellectual quotient, the IQ, then there is the emotional quotient, you know, which measures the ability of one person to relate with others and have good relationships, effective relationships with people, and then there is the adversity quotient, That's what's making a lot of young people to commit suicide. You know, the other day we heard about a young man who a lady rejected, and because of that he just
He killed himself.
killed
Yes.
himself. So we should. The adversity quotient really measures the ability of a person to go through a rough patch in life and come out without losing their mind.
Building resilience.
Exactly, building resilience and making them tough, because they should know that tough times don't last, but tough people do.
They do.
You know, so parents need to focus on beyond the IQ. They need to focus on the EQ, that's the emotional quotient. They need to focus on the AQ and even the spiritual quotient of their children. They should never say, oh, my kids are too young to serve God, too young to know God. This is one of the mistakes that parents make, and it's a very common mistake. The second one is delegating parenting. I know we are busy, you know. I know parents out there, you may be watching this program now. I know you are busy. I know there's a lot of hats that you do wear. But then, beyond wearing all of those hats, it's important that you know that there is one thing you cannot delegate, okay? You can delegate house chores, you can delegate somebody to drive you. You know, sometimes if you can afford, you can delegate some of these duties so that you can have more time for your kids. Parenting is one thing you cannot delegate. A child can have many friends in the course of life, can have many mentors, but will have only one father or one mother. And this is one thing you have to, this is something that God has given to you as a gift. After all, there are many parents out there who are praying, many couples out there who are praying day and night
to have children. Yes.
And God has given one to you, or two or three,
and you delegate. Now, who are these people we delegate to? I know.
We delegate a lot to house helps. We delegate to uncles and aunties in the house, you know, our relations and stuff. We delegate to nannies and the rest of the
and then to teachers in school.
We now shout on teachers, you're not doing your job, you're not teaching my child well. How would my child stand like that? You should. There are things that parents should teach, and then there are things that teachers should teach. Some of us even delegate to our pastors. So we expect our pastors to train our children.
Yeah, so we take them to children's church, teens church, and we expect when they come up with certain character, we say, oh, they're not teaching you well in that church.
I'm forgetting that we as parents should be the one that should set the examples, because God has placed us there as their first coach, their first mentor, an example for them to look up to. So it's important that we as parents focus on that and make good of it. So
and stop delegating, expecting someone to do. Now you said something about delegating to relatives.
Yes, some parents, you see them, they send their kids to their mother, they send to their sisters and brothers, and some bring in these family members. So you see people saying, I live with my parents, but I was raised by my grandmother or my grandfather and stuff like that, or my uncles and aunties. So some of them are too busy, or they have a lot of, like I said, a lot of hats to wear. But then beyond all of the things you have to do, balance is key. Knowing when to, when to hold on, when to let go, when to be there. This is very, very key. Another mistake parents make is not loving the children the way they want to be loved, but loving them the way they think they should be loved.
How does a child want to be loved?
Every human being, according to Gary Chapman, has what we call 5 love languages. So there are a set of 5 love languages. You may not have all of them. You may have one or a combination of some of them. So there is gifts, there is acts of service, there is physical touch, there's
affirmation,
and then there is quality time. Now, out of all of these love languages, each child uniquely has a particular love language. We make the mistake of generalizing our children. I have 3 boys, David, Daniel, and Dominion, but they are all different. They want different things at different times. And we cannot, as parents, generalize the love we have for the children or treat all of them the same way, because they are unique individuals, okay? They have unique needs. And when you begin to, maybe a particular child loves quality time, you know, and this is, you know, it is commonly said that children spell love as quality time.
Oh yes, yeah, that's what it means to them. L-O-V is T-I-M-E for them.
Yes. So when you see some kids, like my boys, they love physical touch. So they love to hug, they love me to touch their face or touch their head and stuff like that. And this is something they get only from me. So they don't want their friends in school to touch them.
Yeah, of course.
They don't want uncles and aunties to touch them. But this is something that is unique between myself and them. And when you note what is unique for that child as an individual, you love the child the way the child loves to be wants to be loved. So the child that wants quality time, you spend quality time with him. The one that always wants gifts, you get him something, no matter how small. Gifts don't have to be expensive. To be relevant, okay? It just says, I'm thinking about you, I have you in mind, and I love you. This is my way of always showing you that I love you. Another child might just want acts of service, okay? Just help him button his shirt. Not that you cannot button his shirt, but just the mere fact that mommy is helping and stuff like that.
And we make a lot of mistakes. Please just go away. I need to. Can't you do this at this age?
And then we're responding to social media comments.
And then the child will just be looking at you. You don't have time to do what I want, but you could have time to spend with your friends.
Okay, you have time to watch your movies and all the series involved. You have time to watch your news on the television and stuff like that. And you remember the common skit that was that came around sometime, the child that says, I want to be like a television.
Yes, so that my parents can watch me. I want to be like a book so that they can read me. I want to be like a phone so that they can chat with me. You see, it's a big problem when we do not look at these things as important to our children. You know, you just take it for granted and see that, oh, this child is just an attention seeker, but actually that child is passing a message to you that he needs one or two things. Okay, so I want us to go back a bit when we talked about the adversity quotient. How do you think we can teach our children that? Because I've seen people who put their children through tough times. They say, oh, I'm teaching the child how to be tough. They deny the children certain things. I'm teaching the child how to be this. In the process, these children are broken.
Yes.
So how best do I teach adversity quotient without having to destroy the person of my child? So what strategy should I use?
Okay, the one of the first and the basic strategy for teaching adversity quotient is to let them know what you have gone through. A lot of parents make it look like adulthood, we get everything we want, we do what we want, but let your kids know the kind of difficulties you experience growing up. Let them know this happened. Maybe you were rejected so many times. Let them know that someone betrayed you so badly. Let them know that somebody broke your heart at one point. Let them know that you suffered through hardship and that they are privileged. Okay, so when we let them know, it does not look strange, because what makes a child want to like kill himself or herself is because, oh, this cannot be happening to me. Why me?
It never happened to my parents. I'm a disappointment.
Exactly. So, but what they are seeing your finished
your
product.
Vulnerability is key. Show them.
Yes, vulnerability is key, because they see you as a finished product, but they don't know what you went through to get to adulthood. And that is one thing you should let them know. Show them pictures if possible, tell them stories if possible, and let them know that this could happen to anyone. And it did not happen to me because I was bad, because sometimes they feel, oh, if you go through hardship, if you go through difficulties, it's because maybe you're bad somewhere.
As Christians, we do that a lot. You say you have committed sin, God hates you, is punishing you for what you're going through.
Life happens, and sometimes it happens to the best of us. Okay, so it's not about where you're coming from or who you are or how much you love God. Even Lazarus, who loved God, was sick and even died. So let's let the children know that bad things can happen to even righteous people. You know, the Bible says many are the afflictions of the righteous, but God delivers them through it all. So let us let them know. And when we let them know, let's tell them how we also came out of it. Through resilience, through persistence, not giving up. And let's tell them that whenever they see defeat, they should repeat. Because when you keep repeating, eventually that defeat will go away. And then apart from that, let's also not give them everything they want all the time. You know, if you are a privileged parent, what I mean by privileged parents is God has blessed you. Okay, you are comfortable, you can afford trips abroad, you can afford any kind of gifts and toy and all of those things for your kids. Sometimes say no, because if they don't get used to no, a time will come when the first no will be a shocker. Okay, so the child is like, no, nobody has ever said
no to me, and you can't deny me anything.
Yes, that's a problem, and they become so entitled. And if you watch, we are raising a bunch of entitled kids in this generation.
We are.
That is not healthy.
We are.
That is not healthy. So they feel everything should be done for them. Somebody owes them something. And those things are not right.
So that's why when you can't give them anything, they do anything to get it.
Yeah. Yeah, that happens.
We'll take a short break. We'll be right back. When we come back, we'll look at all the common mistakes we make in our parenting. I think when you were hearing, you were saying common mistakes. We don't make mistakes as parents. Now you know that the things we take for granted that are really mistakes and harmful in our parenting journey. Don't go away. I'll be right back after the break.
On this cool October morning, as you lie awake and listen, I really want to thank you for making life worth living. An angel has been sent. One day the good Lord's gonna take me. Baby, until then, these are my words to you. I'll always be right here. I'm always on your side. No matter how the world will change, you're still who you are inside. So baby, have no fear, and stand by what is right. This is the best that I could do for you. With these words I try to find, from a mother to her child. Straight from heaven, the mistakes I made in my life, I must have been forgiven. You never know just where your life is gonna take you. So handle it with care. Still who you are inside. So baby, have no fear, and stand for what is right. This is the best that I can do for you. With these words I try to find, from the mother to her child.
Welcome back. It's still the transformational parenting. If you're just joining us, we are halfway done. All right. So my guest is Pastor Mrs. Ifeoma Noyelu Eze, and we've been looking at the common mistakes parents make when parenting their teenagers. So far, we've identified 3 major mistakes, things that we do not really pay attention to. We don't see them as mistakes, like when we want to just develop only the intellectual quotient of our children, the IQ. You must know book, you must pass maths, you must pass English, you must take first, you must do this, everything academics, without paying attention to their emotion or building their tenacity, ability to be able to go through adversity in life and still come out strong. We don't pay attention to their spiritual quotient, you know, as a child, how much of God do they know? So we just leave these children to grow up, and then they begin to struggle finding who they are and finding their purpose and meaning of life. And then we talked about delegating parenting. You know, when we delegate, we expect teachers in school, in religious organization, to do our take over the responsibility of nurturing our children. We leave it to family members, we leave it to uncles, house help. It's not that they are not important, but leaving your responsibility as a parent to them, then it becomes a problem. And that's, like you said, that's when you see people say, I stayed with my parents, but my grandmother or my auntie raised me. Okay. And then with the third one we looked at is understanding the love language of your child. I take care of these children. I buy them gifts. I give them whatever I want. They go abroad. To some children, that does not mean anything. Yes. All they need is sit down with you, quality time. If you say it's 1 hour, 1 hour, you're not touching your phone, you're not doing anything. You're just concerned about me as a child. So if you come, I've seen parents complain a lot. I do things for this children. In fact,
they're not grateful.
The work I am working is because of these children.
They're not grateful. They're not appreciating what I'm doing. Yes, and it's key to understand.
So those are three major. So what are the other mistakes? I will command. I just imagine parents putting their hands on their head now. So what are the other common mistakes we make?
Another common mistake that parents make is parenting their teenagers autocratically. I am Lord Mano, I am your father, I am your mother, you have to obey me, you have to do what I say. In this house, no, not in this house. You know, when it was my father, you dare not answer him, you dare not. That age is gone. You cannot say I must train my children, I must raise my children the same way my parents raised me. It's like saying you have to use that particular phone. You know that phone that has a round ring wire. You have to turn this way.
Or go back and use typewriter.
Or go back to use typewriter, because that was what others were using before. Times have changed. This generation has moved. You know, there's a generational shift. From traditionalists, we moved to baby boomers. From baby boomers, we moved to Generation X. From Generation X, we've moved to Generation Y. And currently, we have kids who are not just
Generation Z and Alpha.
I'm telling you. So they have a different mindset. Their exposure, their environment, you won't blame them, okay? They mix up in an environment and they see what is obtainable elsewhere. They know their rights. In our own time, we didn't know our right. Our parents were free to do anything. You know, use pepper in our bum if we misbehaved, beat us blue, black, and tear up our skin. Now you dare not.
And somebody will say, yes, that's the way to train up a child.
But you dare not do such things now. So another common mistake that parents make, even in our time, is leading our kids autocratically. If they have offended, they've done something bad, don't excuse their behavior. Parents do this a lot. They excuse bad behavior. They say, oh, don't worry, he's still growing for some. You know, these are just like two extremes now, leading autocratically or
passive parenting.
Passive parenting, where they excuse bad behavior. They say, oh, don't worry, he's still growing. Don't worry, she's still growing. She's still small. They will know. A teenager is no longer small. As a matter of fact, there are 4 basic seasons of parenting. The first season is the season called the season of immaculateness. In the season of immaculateness, like the season of innocence, okay? Between the ages of 0 to 6 years, this child is still innocent. At that moment, you have everything. It's like a blank slate. Whatever you put in it,
that's what it is.
That's what goes. And a wise man once said that a child's life is like a field. And a field not cultivated grows the raggiest weed. Now, it is important that if you want beans inside that field, you plant beans. If you want love, you plant love in that child. If you want empathy for others, you know, there are children who don't have empathy for others because they feel that everything is okay with them, their hands are okay, their legs are okay. They see a crippled child, they begin to laugh.
I said we are in a generation where an incident is happening right now.
Yes.
Instead of us to be compassionate and sympathize, we take phones.
We take phones and begin to
record. break the news.
Oh, we want to have many views.
It's saving lives.
Exactly.
So it's really, we have a society. It's not just some parents.
Yes.
It's really dangerous that many parents make these mistakes.
A lot.
Raising children because we do not mirror or model what we want them to become.
True.
So being autocratic being passive.
Yes.
They're two dangerous
Extremes
in the
parenting.
lives of our children.
Yes.
Because whatever you do is affects the child at the end of the day.
True. So the 0 to 6 years is like a season of immaculateness, all right? So they're innocent. You're trying to plant the seeds you want to see in them as they grow. Now the second season is the season of realization. Between 7 to 12 years, these children are beginning to understand the world around them. Okay, they want to, they're recognizing parents, they're recognizing the environment, they're recognizing what is obtainable. Okay, so there are silent rules in the house that they were not written anywhere, but does not happen in this family. So they are beginning to realize, they're beginning to even realize themselves, what can I do? Who can I be? And at that stage, it's very key that you understand, like the preteen stage. Then the third stage is the season of discovery. At that moment, between 13 to 20 years, they are discovering themselves, discovering their uniqueness, discovering their capabilities, their boundaries, the point at which they cannot stretch. They are discovering life itself. Okay, they are discovering who they want to be and what they want to out of life. Now, this is the last season for parenting. Between 13 and 20, after 20, you are no longer parenting.
It's late.
It's late.
20 is late.
It's already late.
I mean, because the way they go to school now, they raise that by
Yes.
15, a child is done with secondary school, and
yes.
going into the university.
Yes.
So if you cannot even impact
Yes.
and handle it, so 20 is even late.
Yeah, it's
because
late.
by 15 they're out of your house.
Exactly, but for here in Nigeria, somehow they're still dependent on you to a certain extent. So you still have a little influence. But the next stage, called the season of independence, from 21 till as old as the person gets. At that stage, you have nothing to contribute. You can only coach, you can be there for comfort, but they are not listening to you. They are doing what they want to do, because at this stage they are self-reliant. And the Bible says, train a child, don't train an adult.
Not train a teenage. In fact, so this thing you said now, we had this debate somewhere, and someone said it didn't say train a teenager.
Yeah.
So between the age of 0
Yeah.
to 13, you have the opportunity
To impute any character, any virtue,
plant whatever you want in that field, in their heart.
After that time, you're already harvesting.
Because they question you. At 13, a child is saying, why?
Why? For
Why?
everything.
Why?
Pick the chair. Why do I have
Why?
to pick the chair? And that's why I said you should not parent them autocratically. You have to correct them in love. Explain. In our generation, our parents didn't explain anything. How dare you ask them? How dare you ask them?
You will tell me if I have the one for you, or you are the one that gave birth to me. And if you're not careful, disown.
Yes.
So,
But now they question everything. They need to know why they have to do a certain thing. They need to know why you are doing a certain thing. And that is another key mistake parents make. They don't get these children involved in decisions concerning them. So they take decisions. I'm your father. I choose the kind of school you're
I know
going
what
to.
is best
I know
for
what
you.
is best for you. But ultimately, we've seen people who were trained as medical doctors. A particular one, he was trained as a medical doctor. By the time he graduated, he went, got his certificate and said, "Daddy, this is for you. I want to do music." And handed over the certificate to the father, because this was not what he had passion for. He had gone through all the expenses made in school and everything, graduated very well, and I said, "Daddy, this certificate is for you." Tell me what the man will be doing with the certificate. Time has passed. The guy has a different passion from what the parents have. So it is important as parents, every parent viewing out there, please do involve your teenagers, especially in decisions concerning them. This was something our parents did a lot. So I grew up with this mindset. I consider myself a form of a fixer, because whenever I see a problem, I'm always thinking of how to fix it. So how did this happen? My parents, when we were much younger, when there is any challenge or any problem or any difficulty, they'll call all of us together. Not everybody, whether you are too small, everybody will come together and say, "This is the problem we have today. What can we do?" Everybody start contributing. So it always puts me in a situation whereby, no matter where I find myself, I'm always thinking, what's the best way out of this problem? What can I do? And you see, it also helps to build the person's mind. So the person is always thinking of solution or solution oriented, not always being pessimistic and giving up at every instance. So this is very key for parenting. And then there's another mistake parents make. When they parent their child, they come to a point where they show preference. Okay, because as teenagers, some of them get lazy. I don't really know why, or the psychology behind them getting lazy, but some parents now prefer some other ones who are hardworking, and they verbalize it. That's even the worst part. So I know as parents, all of us, amongst our children, when we look, we know that one will call, that he will answer faster. We know the one who will call and she will do this, clean this place faster. We know the one that we all know that. But then we should not verbalize that preference, because it will make them to begin to hate each other. Sibling rivalry. All right. So when it happens, see how we echoed it together, like we rehearsed it somewhere. So you see, they begin to have that rivalry, and some take this rivalry too far.
Yeah.
Like the Cain and Abel situation, they take it too far. So it's not just about quarreling or looking at each other anyhow. They begin to think of ways to really do evil.
You see at adulthood, children, cousins can't see face to face because their parents do not agree. They can't see each other. But you see, funny enough, a lot of parents fail to realize that parenting is not about you today, it's about your tomorrow as a parent.
Exactly. I posted something on Facebook some time ago. I said, parents, raise your children well, because a day will come when they would make all the decisions concerning your life and remaining destiny. I use remaining destiny because at that point you're weak, you're tired, you cannot feed yourself, you cannot provide for yourself. They are the ones that will provide for you. They're the ones that will care for you in old age. They're the ones that will decide the hospital you go to, or whether they will move you from your house that you built and send you to an old people's home. So you have to raise your kids well. If you make them hate your parents or grandparents because they are old and smelly, then
you will get
old. And when you get old, they will teach your children that no, you can't go and see grandpa or grandma because they are old and smelly. I saw a video that was 2 years ago about a girl that was crying, I don't want to be old, I don't want to be old. Imagine that. She was crying, she was just throwing tantrums. I don't want to be old. And somebody asked, why do you say the grandpa and grandma are smelly, they are old? Can you imagine that? And a mother allowed that to come out from the mouth of her child, and she thinks it's okay, it's funny, you know, and she posted it on Facebook to get some more views. So it's really crazy here, you know. Then another common mistake parents make is not teaching their children sex education. You know, some of us, personally, my parents didn't teach me sex education, so they felt it was maybe unholy, or they felt they were too timid to really teach me anything about sex education,
or they don't want to
spoil me
or incite you to thinking anything at your age.
And then parents make this mistake a lot, and then the kids grow up. One thing I want to tell every parent out there watching today is that if you refuse to teach your children sex education, uncles living around your house will teach them. Aunties living around the house will teach them. Their classroom teacher, who may be a naughty person, might teach them. Internet will teach them. That phone you give them to play some games will teach them. The laptop you give to them will teach them. And cartoon. Because these days, even the cartoons are not safe anymore. So you see, it's important that you teach them. And what, if you don't teach them, what those mediums would likely teach them? Did I even forget society? The environment, the neighbors, it will teach them. And what it will teach them will be terrible, so worse. And it is better they learn the first time from you. As parents, it's important that your children learn what sex education is all about. And please, for crying out loud, let's stop calling it the wee-wees and the poo-poos. Let's call it for what it is, so that when they know the right thing from you, they won't be deceived outside. They are confident that they know what it is. Stop telling them that children fall from heaven. These children are smarter, and they'll be looking at you, they'll be smiling because they already know. It's either a book told them, or somebody told them, or even a movie told them, or they saw something, and then they come to ask you, Mommy, where do children come from? I said they come from heaven. You see, and they just look at you. Now you be what is important to children is trust. Yes. They want to be able to trust you. True. They want to be able to see you as the first and authentic source of information. Yes. So when you lie to them, now you say, oh, it's not important. I just said, I thought you were too young to know. So I just said a fall from heaven or this. So already you built a sense of distrust. True. They can't trust you, they can't come to you. Very true. And then that pedophile who is out there that managed to tell them the truth, they begin to trust that person other than you, and they'll do anything to be with that person. Because the person told them the truth. and they believe the person, because you know they say mommy lied to me, daddy lied to me, and when they come to that point, they would, that like you said, distrust. They will never believe there is anything true coming from your mouth as a parent. So that's why we should really tell them the truth and insist. And it's also key that we release this truth in portions. Okay, we should know what truth is age appropriate and release them as they grow, because we even see that in this generation, kids of 7 years, 8 years are beginning to menstruate. So we can't delay anymore. We see that nature is changing. In our own days, I think it took longer than
12, 13, 14. Outside, though.
Me, I was at 16. I was very flat on my chest. There was nothing there. All right. So for late bloomers like us, we didn't get to know anything on time. But then the kids now, by 8 years, you see some of them already have enough very good development here and there. So it's key, very important for us to teach them on time.
I was with my friend in Kechi some time ago, and she was just telling me they went for a birthday party, and I don't know if that's part of the mistakes a lot of parents make, is in the way we dress up our children. Now, this girl was just 13, but she's grown, she's big, and they went for an occasion. She was wearing a dinner wear, she had her makeup and everything done, and the men were looking at her thinking that probably this is an 18, 19, 20-year-old child. So is it a mistake? Because I think sometimes we throw our children into the lion's den. With the way we allow
them to dress. True, and it's key. Parents should know how to dress their children. You see, they assume that at this stage, this child is still small, she's still tender, but whatever pattern you lay at that stage is what you expect the child to use growing up. Maybe you wear them short skirts, mini skirts, and bump shorts going out. When the child begins to grow and you begin to tell the child to cover up, the child does not understand what you mean, because it looks like you, as the parents, you're already a hypocrite because you used to allow this. Why are you now changing it? But the difference is that the child has grown.
That language, it resonates with me. I've heard that language with my child once. Who say, not in dressing, but I can't remember what we're talking about. I said, look, you're confusing me now. Before, you used to. You know, so I had to say, okay, then I didn't know. Now I know. Please, can we now?
And that's one beautiful thing you did, because our parents need to learn how to admit it when they are wrong. Parents not admit when they're wrong, and especially where we're coming from, our parents were never wrong. They were always right. You dare not say they were wrong.
Lord our master.
Yes, they were Lord our master. But now we have to admit that we're wrong. Like you said, very, very apt. Then I didn't know, but now that I know the right thing, I want to do what is right. And if you see, that child will look up to you and really respect you.
Now, you see, these things we're saying, because we need to let parents understand that these mistakes we're putting up, if you don't do them, if you don't correct them, there are consequences.
True.
So what are some of the consequences parents will face? I know along the way we mentioned some, that if they accommodate these common mistakes, if they're not corrected, these are the consequences. People would like to let some of them understand this.
Okay, we started from the first mistake where we said that where parents are making sure that their children have intellectual development, but they don't have other aspects. If they grow and all they know is book, mathematics, chemistry, they become antisocial. All right, they're not able to relate well with people. They're not able to express themselves. They come to where people are, they're fidgety. They know what they know, but they can't express it, and they have wrong relationships, especially when it has to do with people. They are not able to relate with people well. They have and they are not able to build a network of friendship over a period of time. So they are quarreling with this person, quarreling with that person. They become it becomes a problem, and they grow up not knowing that it was because their parents did not look into this particular aspect.
Thing you said now. Presently, I'm doing Global Youth Initiative, a camp for leadership skills for young people.
Wow.
And then we're teaching them the 16 values for leaders.
That's beautiful.
As young people.
Yeah.
Surprisingly, today I'm going to be teaching on relationship.
Okay.
You know, and that you have said now, they are not being able to build a network
of friendship
over
time,
because the people you are with friends today as a teenager, they will become the governors and presidents tomorrow, or entrepreneurs tomorrow.
That's right.
If your child does not know how to build the social skills, how will he relate with these people when it is needed.
True.
So it's so key, relationship. But
Yes.
you know, a lot of people, parents these days, we build walls.
We build walls.
From our fence wall. We going to school, you're in the car.
Your kids can't play with the neighbors, you know. From the school, they get locked up in your long big fence, and they're in the compound. When they go to church, you're like, don't touch, don't look at that person, don't touch, don't relate with that person. By the time you're done with all of this, your child becomes a recluse and grows within themselves, and that's not really healthy.
Thank you so much. It's been, I mean, if we want to talk this, they'll give us another 1 hour to go. But finally, what is your final word to parents?
All right, my final word to parents is that they should be the kind of parents they wished they had. Okay, so every parent, look at it. What kind of parents would you have wanted to have? I know we love our parents, no doubt about that, but there is a kind of image in our mind concerning parenting that we would have wanted to have. And so that same image, project it into yourself and be that kind of parent that your child will be proud to have. You know, that kind of parent where a child is free to tell you anything. They're free to share their mind with you, their dreams, even their mistakes, even their worst fears. You know, one blessing I've had is that my boys can come around me at any time and they can tell me just about anything. And even though I'm a pastor, I let them know that there is nothing too terrible that my ears cannot hear, and I promise them I won't freak out, you know.
All right, so be parenting from the point of view with these thoughts at the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Am I doing what I would have wanted to be done to me as a parent? When you put these things in mind, it will guide you in parenting your children. So please don't forget to follow us on our social media platform, Transformational Parenting Network on Facebook, and on Instagram, T Parenting. You need to follow us because there's so many things we're doing beyond just sitting here with you every Sunday 5 to 6. Parenting is not just one off, it is a journey, and I pray that as you go on this journey, your tomorrow, your latter years will be more enjoyable because you're paying the price and sacrificing for your children right now. That is another whole talk about sacrifice for another time. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
I'm sure we've learned a lot.
Thank you.
My name is Mute Olori. I'll be with you again next week, same time, 5 p.m. on this station. God bless you. Bye-bye.